I took a 1 week rest instead of continuing my podcast after the weird ass challenge that I made or that I've done or I challenged myself. And I'm like, okay, probably you deserved it, Zol, because pretty much probably you were feeling tired. But at the same time, I wasn't really tired. I was more of a. There were two things. Number one is I was distracted, and second I was deciding. Number one, I was distracted because I was playing games. There's this very fun game that I find very wow. It's called Transistor, and the other one is Hades. And both games are made by the same company, and I'm like, oh my god, the soundtracks are so nice. Even the gameplay is like very, how do I say? For the game Transistor is like it's more of a, it would be interesting if you're in comp science, and for Hades it would be much more. It caters to people who played Dead Cell. Yeah, that's why I was distracted. I wouldn't say much about the game, but one thing I can say is that the game is very interesting. Very interesting to a point where I took a 1 week rest. But the other reason why I took a 1 week rest, well, it was more of a, I was trying to decide how should my podcast be. I was planning, and I'm like, I was like very confused. Not really confused. I was like, I want to make it interesting because I know one thing, that my podcast is not really that funny to begin with. It's more of a my thoughts and it's just insights. And I'm like, how to make it more interesting? And should I make it shorter? Even if I do make it shorter, it's more of a, it won't sound like a podcast anymore. It would sound like most YouTube videos that are like short and funny and entertaining. It's not a podcast anymore. That's why I'm like, not contempt, it's more of a, I'm deciding, should I make more funny entertaining videos rather than podcasts? At the same time, that is because my mom does not understand what a podcast is. And I can vouch for one thing, is that it's because she has to listen every single student that she has to mark English, whatever, public speaking or whatever it is, or forum. And the forum takes like 1 hour, presented by 4 or 5 students. And I get that. And my mom has this tendency to be like, I want to listen to my son's podcast because I want to support him, but at the same time, oh my god, it's too long, is what I think lah. And imagine if you have to like mark how many groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 3 plus minus 6 times 3 is like 9, 12, 14, 18 groups. Each groups have like around 3 to 5 members. I mean, long story short, there's a lot of groups and people to give marks. And I'm like, okay, then just, it's not an obligation to listen to my podcast if you have to listen, is what I think lah. Is what I would like to say to my mom, but then at the same time I could not say it. Yeah. Hello there, you're listening to Zolwali's Thoughts and Knots podcast, where I talk about the things that bothers me most of the time because I do not know how to talk out loud or open up my thoughts to begin with, because I'm awkward and I am pretty much a people pleaser, or it's like I would agree to people more rather than I have the ability to say no. And I'll always say this to anyone, whoever is listening, or a friend of mine, like whoever lah. Whenever I have conversations with friends or something, or junior to be especially, I'll say, do not be like me in terms of panting up opinions and thoughts is what I think. Like, be more open, because if the people around you are not able to comprehend, well, rather than comprehend 100%, it's more of a give and take, like balance. If you're the only person to like absorb and say yes to everything around you, then it's like, don't be like that. And as much as it sounds like an advice from me, that advice, I can't walk the talk. Which is very irony, because in our whole life, in any person's life, I mean, whoever you meet, and you'll be like someone who is older than you, or someone who has a wee bit more experience of doing something and something, they'll advise you not to do this. And then, okay, you'll be like, okay, have you done it? I'm doing it since then till now. It's like habit. Bad habits are hard to knock it off. Yeah, this is pretty much a very warm-up podcast for me, because no matter what, I'm just gonna upload this, because it's a thoughts and knots, and I'm untying those knots. So, other than that, recently SPM result announced. Congratulations. And once again, this is a very problematic thing for me whenever I want to talk about something that involves the whole world or whole country or a big group of people. I'll have troubles to talk, because I'll be like split in between to talk about what I want to talk and then to talk about what people want to hear. But at the same time, well, I might as well just give like 7-3 ratio or half ratio, and it would be nice. But at the same time, I'm very time conscious. Like, it's just 5 minutes of me rambling about what I think of. But at the same time, the way my brain works with time is that 5 minutes, because this is something that I am surprised, because some people are like, hey, there's 5 minutes more, 5 minutes left, there's more time. To me, if it's 5 minutes left, I'm panicking already. If it's 10 minutes also, I'm panicking. Even 30 minutes, like for instance, if I have to like meet up a person, I think I always use this analogy or example. Whenever I have to meet up a friend somewhere in KL or something, I'll be like 30 minutes earlier on arriving on the rendezvous spot, and then I'll be willing to wait 30 minutes rather than arriving late, because I do not want people to wait for me. I'm willing to wait for people. I'm Hachiko. And in the end, Hachiko died waiting. Wow, so... Anyways, continuing back, SPM result, congratulations. Whatever result you get, congratulations, because why? You can still continue study, although it's not what you want to. But if you look at me, I did not get straight A's. I got like 7 A's, 3 B's, which some people would be like,
wow, I did not get any A's.
But at that moment when I was in high school, I was more of we were in a society or an environment where everyone needs to get straight A's, or not you will fail life. That is how bad my school was. I mean, it's a prestigious top ranked school, but then the environment was very toxic, because we were the school board was run by 3 dictators, and those 3 are, I don't know whatever happened to them, but good grief, they're not around anymore. By not around is that not around in the school at my alma mater. And yeah, another reason why I took like a wee bit long rest, because every day, like the past week, I was talking about SPM result. And guess what? I counted like 186 recordings, like re-record. This is a problem that I have, because I'm always conscious about what people will think, or like, yeah, it's my podcast, is my thoughts and thoughts. And then the fact that I have to think about what I have to say, I mean, there's a line of common sense where I should not cross, like, and borderline, this is sensitive, this is not. But at the same time, I'm like, do you guys really want to listen to my podcast? Yeah, that kind of as I record those like 186 videos, like the same topic but different takes, very different takes. But most of it is like me stopping halfway as I lose confidence to say like, crap, I don't think people would listen to this. Yeah, that is why. That's why I took a wee bit long rest. I mean, it's not really that long. I mean, I deserve it. Why do I even have to hustle? I mean, at the same time, as much as I dislike the hustle life, but at the same time, if it's something that you are passionate about, then you are free to hustle about it, because you want to see till the end of it, like where I want to be. And for me, this podcast is pretty much not only a training for me, it's very more of I want to be a radio presenter of like a late night radio talk. And I'm not talking about radio DJs like, hey, what's up guys? That was like Justin Bieber, baby, whatever that song is. And up next is Selena Gomez, whatever that song is. Yeah, I'm not that kind of radio presenter. There's a thing called like radio presenter, and also another thing is that radio talks in Malaysia is very rare. When I say rare, it's more of the ones that are casual and easy to listen, and more like it's not news like. It's because I have this one radio station that I tune in every single time that I seek for. I mean, it's a Malaysian radio. I tune it. I listen to it like whenever I want to find inspiration, or I'm like, man, I'm bummed, I want to be inspired. So I listen to radio so that I get more, I want to do this, that kind of vibe, just trying to get inspiration, to be inspired, or etc. blah blah blah. And one thing that I realized as I was like listening is that the radios, even if we have like radio talks kind in Malaysia, it sounds very, very news like. And at the same time, it's normal, but at the same time, it's just, I don't think people would listen. Because it sounds more like a forum rather than and it sounds more like I mean, even TED Talk is even easier to listen, am I right? It's not really hard to it's not hard to listen to TED Talks, because not only that it's casual, it's inspirational. But when it's facts and then you read through script, it's basically it's a news. And I do not know if I want to work at that. But at the same time, that is actually my one way, not one way or another lah, but one way that I can see if I want to be a radio presenter of a late night radio talk show. And I've done that. I've done an episode how I want it to be, but at the same time, it sounded very, how do I say it? Kaku. What's kaku in English? Very stiff. It doesn't sound very casual. Because one thing I have in mind whenever if I want to make a late night radio talk, I did the idea when I'm making or presenting is that this late night radio talk show is made or broadcasted with the listeners, not to and not broadcasted and not broadcasted for the listeners. It's different with listeners and for listeners. Like for instance, if you listen to like music station, radio station, music, whatever the sequence is, because I'm bad with that. Yeah, it's made for the listeners, for the ones who are listening, because you want to listen to music. And the reason why it's not made with, because I tried once, there's this idea where I forgot which radio during high school, they say suggest songs or etc. blah blah blah, and we'll play it for you. So I suggested on their website and they never played it. Because why? Well, number one is because music licensing, they cannot just play any songs. But then, yeah, that is one limitation. And the other one is because they are not making that particular radio station or music radio station for or with, because how do I say it? If we were to listen to radio, at least we want to cater to people who are like, oh hey, do you want to listen to the song? And then yes please. And then, or like, hey, Mr. Radio, whoever is running the radio, we want to listen to this, but sometimes you guys just always follow top 10, top hits. It's always those kind of music. And I'm like, even if like you change stations also, you're like, hey, Justin Bieber, change the next song. Hey, Justin Bieber, change the next song. Okay, something different. What was it? Probably One Direction. I don't know. I don't really listen to music radio that plays music because it sounds boring. It plays the same thing. And then when you change to the radio station that is like a wee bit different, playing a wee bit different song, and then up next, Justin Bieber. I'm not saying Justin Bieber's songs are bad. It's just that it's overplayed on radio. I mean, at the same time, probably it's because it's top hits, and every radio stations are using that, and then they're just like, okay, we'll be using this list, and then we'll just play it because it's free to be played on radio, because we won't have like copyright or licensing problem, etc. blah blah blah. And that is why I'm like, hey, if we just do a simple radio talk, and then people would listen late night, or even like during, what do you call when people are going back to their home, and like stuck in jam and like, crap, I don't want to listen to the same songs. I just want to listen to someone talking, or just a casual talking. Who knows? I mean, I'm still in the process of learning how to do so. I mean, like, what topics what people would love to talk about, relatable things that happens in life or something. Yeah, that is one hell of a concept that I want to implement if I ever have a late night radio talk segment. And my plan is that the one that I have like in my mind, the one that I'm reaching towards a goal, that's why I always record at night, is it would be broadcasted every week once, but it would be late night. Probably if it's Wednesday, people would be like, still, god damn it, I have to work tomorrow. So pretty much I would aim Friday, where people are like, okay, no work tomorrow, or even if you're working tomorrow, then you can still be casual about it, because probably it's just half day kind of work. Unless you're working full day, then that's messed up, is what I think lah. From my experience, if you have to work full day on weekends, then it's kind of not really messed up. If you have to work, unless you're like have cuti on weekdays, then it's acceptable. If you have to work 7 days every day, but at the same time, I don't know lah. People are hustling to make sure they have another $100 or two in their wallet or bank, so that they don't end up, god damn it, that kind of feeling. Yeah. And also, this is just a warm-up. This is a warm-up for me for this podcast. It's just me rambling about stuff, because I took 1 week rest. Rather than 1 week rest, as I said, I was confused, and like I kept on re-recording takes to a point where I lost my, not passion, not confidence, it's more of a, god damn it, I just want to take a rest now. Yeah. If you feel so when you're doing the things that you like, and you're feeling this is not how I want it to be, then take a 1 week rest, because eventually at the end of the week you will feel like, okay, I've rested too long. Then you'll pretty much bounce back to continue what you love to do, or whatever you're hustling to do lah, is what I think. And because of that, I have to like, you know what, Zol, just upload something so that you wouldn't feel too bad about resting for 1 week long, is what I think lah. Yeah. So yes, I think that is all from Zoliman's Thoughts and Knots podcast. I tried to make it short because my mom feels like, please make it shorter, and I'm like, if I make it shorter, then it's not a podcast anymore, and it would be just another funny video on YouTube, and it would flop worse, because why? If I were to make something shorter, then if I were to shorten my podcast, pretty much it would end up looking very bosan, very breaking news kind of a video, and I do not want that. Unless if you think that it can be shortened, then hey, suggestions and ideas is the suggestion box is open under the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube. But if you're listening on Spotify, then just singgah YouTube and then just say, Zol, please make it shorter, because why? No one's listening to you. And I'll swallow that bitter pill and I'll make it shorter. But I won't really listen if it comes from my mom, because I need to know what other people who are listening also. And also, I'm contemplating whether if a podcast should be shorter than 5 minutes. Yeah. I guess that is all. Jikum kaji. Sarimun deshita. Bye bye.